Hello everyone, Ultimate North here, and today we are back with our first video in a long time since spring, or you could even consider it winter since we had so much snow this year. And if you did not notice what I said in the community page yesterday, I was going to do, or not yesterday, 2 days ago or whatever, I don't even remember, but I was going to do another how-to on the how to catch muskellunge. Because I think this one will be a better video since I have a bit more experience and I have caught more muskies since the time of the original post back almost a year ago now. Time flies. So we're going to get right into this video. Please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for all the support on the recent videos, and we're trying to shoot for 100 subscribers. I know we can do it, so please remember to like and subscribe. Muskie fishing is, muskies are one of the most renowned fish. They're one of the highest targeted fish probably in the area that I live in currently. Millions of dollars are spent on lodges, lures, boating equipment, all the stuff to target muskies, because it's such a big fish, really cool looking fish, and that magical 50-inch mark is what every angler wants to hit. I have not done it yet. My biggest is a 33 incher, so before you ask, I'm going to try to get a 40 plus this year, and I hope we get a video on it. So that's what we're going to be trying to do. But muskie fishing, it is pretty hard. It's really hard to find the fish for anyone that's been a veteran muskie angler. You know that it's hard to find the fish, and it's even harder to get them to strike since they're so finicky sometimes. There are so many different lures, so many different ways you can really catch them. You can catch them by throwing light tackle, throwing big bait casting lures, you can do trolling, cast those sucker minnows. There are a lot of ways to catch them, and sometimes you can try all of them and they won't work. So muskie fishing, it's kind of hard to know where to start. But what you want to start with is looking up some YouTube videos or trying to get some advice on what to do and like what's in the area, because different lakes have different types of fish. Many lakes in the northern Wisconsin area, which is probably one of the most popular muskie areas on the entire planet, you know, by Hayward, that area. A lot of those lakes are considered action lakes, which means they have a lot of fish, but they're not a lot of inches long. Yeah, that's a lake that you're going to get most of your action on. It's going to be an exciting day where there might not be any huge fish coming. And then there are the lakes such as the almighty Chippewa Flowage that holds the world record muskie that's almost 70 pounds, which is ridiculous. That is more of a big fish lake, big fish water, and there aren't many small fish, and there aren't many fish in general, but the ones that are there are typically huge. There are a lot of 50 inchers in there. Well, there are not a lot of them, but there are some 50 inchers in there, plus, well, maybe, who knows, there could be another world record that breaks the already set world record in that lake. Could still be prowling around in there, I don't know. But there are different types of lakes, so you need to know, like, maybe get some local advice for what you're trying to look for in that lake, different structure, different like lures that they prefer. A lot of things you can do. You can also fish rivers and stuff too. I haven't even mentioned that. That's always fun. I haven't done it really that much yet, but I want to try to do that because it seems really fun. But I haven't done it yet. But river fishing is also a way to catch muskies. Rivers are typically more action and quality, quantity over quality, which is still fun. I just like catching fish, I'm gonna be honest. So we are gonna get into setups that we want to use for these huge fighting fish. So this is my new spinning rod, a St. Croix medium 7'1" Bass X with a 30 size Profluger Presidente. It's like a limited Black Friday edition with 30-pound braid, spider wire I believe, and we have a number 4 Melps Bronze Slam Brown there at the moment. That is more of an ideal pike and bass setup, but for a spring setup, I don't think you can get like a horrible ton better. Like medium to medium heavy is your ideal like strength. I mean, 30-pound line is a bit risky when it comes to muskies since they have such huge teeth, but you might want to upsize line to at least 50, maybe 65 pound. Because muskie fishing on light tackle is a blast. Most of the all of the muskies, which have been mostly small ones, the muskies I have caught have been caught on light tackle. Similar setup to this, medium Berkley lightning rod, and that is 50-pound braid, and it does have a leader. Leaders are almost essential to muskie fishing, since again they have massive teeth. I think their teeth can get upwards of 1 inch long, which is really stupendous. Yeah, and then the big bait casting rods, I don't have one of those available to me at the moment, but you're gonna be wanting to look for like heavy to extra heavy, or extra heavy. I have a heavy power rod at the moment, and probably a bait caster is more ideal, since it makes light work of the lures you're going to be casting, which I will get to in a minute. I don't have many musky lures that, like, readily available to me at the moment. I will show you some that their upsized brothers could also be good musky lures. You're going to be wanting using a big bait caster, probably at least size 300, I would say, all the way up to who knows how much, probably 500. And they're also big trolling rods. Spinning does work, but it's a pretty heavy task, since you were casting such big lures and they require a lot of cranking to reel in. So ideal muskie setup is probably like a size 400, maybe an 8'6" heavy rod, or maybe a 9-foot. Somewhere in that area is going to be an ideal muskie setup for a majority of lures and conditions that you're going to be fishing in. I have a 400 Tranx with which is a bait casting rod by Shimano. I might post some of these if I can find them, some links to these products that I'm talking about in the description, and maybe I'll post some on the community page as well. But I have a size 400 Shimano Tranx with a power handle, which kind of is nice to have because it's nice, easy cranking. And then an 8'6" heavy St. Croix Premier with 80-pound braid and a I don't know what pound test leader, but it's up there. Because we want to be catching the fish, because muskies are really hard to catch, and if you lose one, it's going to be sad. So, I think we got that out of the way. Let's go into some lure selection. Probably the most popular way to catch muskies is with artificial lures. I mean, all the other ways are popular, and they serve right in the certain conditions, such as sucker minnows. That's also pretty popular. What I said in my last how to catch musk on this video is the muskies are kind of similar to pike. They're in the same scientific family, Esox. Northern pike and muskie can breed to create the tiger muskie, which is a hybrid and really cool looking fish. I might try to post a picture here. But some lures that we have. So I'm going to start off by showcasing a top water. And get out of tangle, those hooks are for sure. This is a Whopper Pop 75. So Whopper Popper 75, I did showcase this in my last video with how to catch musk one. This is a top water prop bait. Has this prop here that spins and creates a pretty significant motion on top of the water. It's a great way to lure in any predatory fish, including bass, pike, muskies, any predatory fish in the area, dogfish as well. This is a Whopper Popper 75. There are tons of top waters on the muskie market, such as flat tails, Whopper Popper, cannonballs, big mamas. I could go on forever. A lot of big ones too, like I'm talking 5 ounce plus. So, I mean, this isn't the ideal size for a muskie lure. I mean, in the springtime, this could be the ticket to catching a big muskie. Since in the springtime, they're biting on smaller lures, they're just trying to get heated up for summer. So they're biting on smaller lures. And probably an ideal lure, this is a classic when it comes to predatory fish, the spinnerbait. This lure has this blade right here, some nice hair. It's pretty weedless. You can go through some heavy structure and come out almost weed free, and it can bounce around off of stuff. It's a superior option when it comes to bass, pike, and muskies. There are a lot of bigger style baits This is just, I think, a Northland spinnerbait. I might post that in the description. This is a classic bait. This is pretty cheap too. It's only like $5 from like Fleet Farm or somewhere. Yeah, this is a really good bait, especially this color, black and orange is usually a pretty good color for predatory fish for whatever reason. Yep, this is really good for bass, pike, and muskies. I mean, there are upsized versions for muskies, but in the springtime, this could be the bait. Another top water here. I'm gonna try to fly through these because I do have quite a few lures. Frog. This is probably one of the most popular lures for bass anglers, pike anglers, because it's what you cast into weed beds and tow it around like a frog. And it does usually tempt the big bass and pike to striking it, and it's really fun when you hook up to a big fish on a frog. It's really fun to cast these under docks and just watch the bass just gulp them up. It's really fun. There aren't many frogs for musky fishing, I don't think, but I could see it happening. Probably without a doubt, the most popular musky options, bucktails. Now this is a number 5 Mepps Black Fury. Mepps is probably my most used lure. It's also my most successful. I've probably caught hundreds of fish on, I mean, there are a lot of patterns of different Mepps. I've probably caught several dozen on one pattern alone. I've probably caught several hundred on one pattern alone. Rainbow trout, if I remember right. It's like a blue, silver, and pink lure. But this is a number 5 Mepps, like yellow Black Fury. If the blade can turn here, if I can like show you guys. So there are a lot of upsized versions for this, like this style of bait for muskies as well. Anyone that is into musky fishing should most certainly know about bucktails. This blade produces vibrations that can be sensed by a predatory fish's lateral line, like commotion in the water. And there are different styles of blades. There's Indiana, a French blade. There are a lot of different styles of blades. A willow blade that goes down deeper. A lot of different blades, a lot of different varieties of bucktails. There are ones that go right down to the surface. And there's the famed giant killer that goes down a bit deeper when you're trying to target some deeper fish. Bucktails, probably the most popular musky option. Definitely should be in your inventory. A lot more bucktails. This is just like a little Mr. Twister that I don't have connected to anything right at the moment. But plastics are a pretty popular option. You know, there are tubes that people use. I'm not too sure how they use them. I haven't invested in the tube market yet. But some soft plastics are good musky, bass, and pike options. Just overall great for predatory fish. More bucktails. What is this? This is like another soft plastic, and nice little minnow bait. There's a bait that's kind of similar to this style with this big paddle tail that's upsized for the musky market. Either the 10 or 12-inch Poseidon. I might put that in the description too. That's a really good musky bait provided by Chaos Tackle, one of the bigger manufacturing musky bait companies. Crankbaits are also a really popular option for musky fishing. They're pretty ideal for fall conditions when fish are down deeper and on rocks and stuff like that. And we're going to get into structure a little bit too. This is going to be a longer video than the original, but it's going to contain a lot more information to hopefully get you guys on a muskie. This is my goal here. Jerkbaits. Also another really popular option. I have caught a northern on this one, a northern pike. Jerkbaits, there are a lot of upsize options for this in the musky market as well. I also encourage you to look at some websites. I will list some. The Muskie Shop, if you're in the Minnesota or Wisconsin or maybe Michigan area, you know, the northern part of the state here in the Midwest. There's a lot of good, there's not a lot of, but there are some really good areas to get your hands on some musky lures. I might list one or two down below. This is a Daredevil. It's probably one of the most popular pike options ever to come out. Overall great for predatory fish. This is a smaller version, but they do produce bigger, like, I think it goes up to like 1.5 ounce size baits that are spoons. And there also are bigger upsized versions, like most other things, for the musky market. Let's see, what else do I have in here? I don't have a whole ton for musky stuff in here. Here's some smaller bucktails. It's kind of like a marabou style, like really hairy. Marabous are always nice. And then we got some more soft plastics, more bucktails. Alright, now we're gonna get in some terminal tackle. So gloves are sometimes needed because when you're grabbing these fish, I'm putting it on the wrong hand. When you're grabbing these fish that have really sharp teeth, and their gills can be kind of sharp too, and you don't want to get injured out on the boat when you're in the middle of a lake. So wearing gloves is unless it's like a smaller fish that doesn't pose much harm. Big fish, you're gonna probably want to use gloves because if they get a hold onto you, it's not gonna be a good day. We do have some more lures on here, but I'll show those later. We got some pliers here. These always help for grabbing hooks. This one's kind of tiny. There are bigger options for the muskies, but this is just a standard pliers. You can get these pretty much at any sport tackle store. And the longer hook grabbers for when they're way down there, which sometimes can happen, so be aware of it. Don't underrate these things. They can be really useful. Yep, and then I have the spider wire stealth braid, 30 pound. Here you go. You can look at that. The line is pretty expensive, but I mean you're gonna need some tough line when you're going for muskies. I'd say at least 50 pound to be safe. But most for like the bigger musky rods, like 8'6" heavy stuff like that, like big bait casting rods or like bigger versions of the spinning rod, you're gonna want to use 65 to 80 pound with a leader. So a good line is essential for musky fishing because you don't want to be losing fish that are so hard to catch. What else do I have down here? Just some swivels in here, some more terminal tackle. You're gonna need swivels when you're fishing artificial lures, musky or not. Alright, so this is a buzzbait. This is a popular topwater bass lure. It's kind of, as you can see, it kind of looks similar to a spinnerbait, with this head and this long like strands of hair. But this blade goes on top. I mean, it can be fished below the water, but most people, I think, fish it on top. This blade provides a lot of motion, and it entices a lot of bass and predatory fish to strike. I don't know if there are many versions of this for the musky market, but there are a lot of them for bass and pike. So pick one up for any predatory fish. They probably will work. Now the only kind of musky, somewhat sized lure that I have in this tackle box. I also have another spinnerbait on here, another small spinnerbait. It's a good one for bass and pike. And like I said, they do provide bigger versions of this for the musky market. And this is more of a kind of musky sized lure. So this would probably be an ideal spring bait. This is kind of a heavier lure. This has the twin hook setup. So this is kind of a weighted spinner. So I'm guessing it gets down a bit deeper. So you might want to fish some weed edges with this. This is a good spring bait. Yep, spinnerbaits, bucktails, jerkbaits, topwater. They're all what you want for musky angling. It's good to have a variety of lures to throw in different colors as well, because muskies, like I said, are really finicky. You might want to throw a big rubber lure like a Medusa or a Bulldog. You might want to throw a jerkbait like a Grandma or a Jake or something like that. A twitch bait or glide bait, bucktails like Meps, like double showgirls, cowgirls that are really popular in the musky community. And topwaters like whopper ploppers, which they do provide larger sizes of the whopper plopper. They go all the way up to 190. That's it's like 3 ounces, and it's, I don't know, like 9 inches long, maybe a little small, like 7.5. I can't remember the exact sizes. But whopper plopper 190 is probably an ideal musky topwater. It's pretty big. And some advice from the legendary Joe Booker. I went to a seminar. He said to use the smaller lures since he had an injury. and then he kind of like influenced St. Croix, one of the most popular and probably one of the better rod manufacturers, to invent smaller, more lightweight muskie rods that like can throw smaller lures. So smaller lures are should not be excluded from the muskie arena or game, because they can come in handy. And he said he's caught probably 15, 50 plus inch fish from a small little like 4-inch shad wrap, like a fire tiger grappler or something like that. So a lot of the small lures, and also all of the muskies that I've caught have been on a pike harasser, which is kind of similar to the Mepps Black Fury that I showed you, similar in size. So it's a bit different, but made by Wendell instead of Mepps. But big or small lures should not be excluded from the muskie arena, because they do come in handy. And the big lures also have their time as well, such as the big bucktails and all the upside versions of these lures. Every lure has its time and place, and all of them should be in your tackle box. Okay, so this video is getting pretty long, so I want to try to wrap her up here. But the last thing we're going to talk about, and one of the most important things, is where to fish. So structure is pretty essential when you're trying to find predatory fish or fish in general. I think most people know what you're trying to look for when you're fishing for bass and pike, because you're mostly looking for, weeds and stumps and stuff like that. But muskie fishing is so complex that it's kind of hard to know where to start. And a big thing that I found recently is that electronics play a big help. Depth finders and fish finders can help you locate structure that fish may be on, no matter what the species, especially muskies, because it is hard to know where to start. And a fish finder is really handy because it can help obviously find the depth of where you're fishing, but it can also find certain types of structure like rocks, weeds, stumps. Muskies kind of hang, it varies throughout the year. Springtime, like most fish, they're spawning, so they're up shallow in bays where there are weeds and it's not too deep. You'll probably find some bass and pike if they're available in the same lake as the muskies you're trying to target in those areas. And the bass and pike are always, at least the smaller ones, are always up shallow. But in the summer, the muskies kind of drift out to more main lake structure that is more out in like the middle of the areas that you're trying to target. They're in the deeper depths. I mean, they're not as deep, they're not like 10 feet deep. Plus, I mean, they're around probably the 5 to 15 foot area in some structure like rocks or weeds. What you're trying to look for is any structure that stands out. I mean, it can also be helpful for other species of fish, such as bass or pike. But any structure that stands out is a good tip for locating muskies. You're going to want to look for some possible rocks or some weeds. Anything, because these are fish that thrive on hunting in cover. They hide behind anything that they can find. And then they storm out chasing after prey, which could be your lure. So you're trying to look for any structure overall. And then in fall, which is where most of the big fish are caught, or the bigger fish, like I'm talking huge. What I understand is that most fall fish are kind of by the rocks, and you want to throw in deeper. Trolling can really come into play in the fall, since you want to get lures down deeper and try to get down to where those fish are at, fish's lair, and try to pull one up. Yep, you're trying to look for structure. Electronics to play a big help. It's really essential to have a good electronic in your arsenal. And all the proper equipment to protect muskies as well is pretty useful. Wetting down your bump board before you put it on there to measure it is pretty essential. Anything else to protect muskies is really helpful, because seeing these big fish die is quite sad. I mean, some of the big ones are almost impossible to revive after they're finished fighting, which is really unfortunate. But try to do your best to keep these fish alive, because they are really important. And they're the Wisconsin state fish, after all. And it's such a cool fish. And there aren't too many of them in the bodies of water. I mean, it's increasing every year due to stocking efforts, which is really sweet. But there still aren't a horrible ton of fish available, and we want to keep all the big fish alive and thriving because they're such a staple. They could be 20-plus-year-old fish, which is pretty cool. And I forgot that I want to talk about one other really big thing is tactics. Tactics are where a lot of musky anglers, or new musky anglers to the sport, kind of get lost. There are a lot of sources that say you should do an L-turn before you get your lure out of the water and go for another cast. Or you can do a figure eight, which is, quite literally a figure eight before you cast again. So why you want to do this is because muskies tend to follow any potential prey, such as your lure. And a figure eight can keep the lure in the water longer and give it a chance to strike. And if the figure eights don't work on the big lures, or the L-turns don't work on the big lures, maybe get a small little, like, number 5 Meps or a little jerkbait and cast back. Because muskies will still bite after they already kind of turned off on the bait that you're throwing. And if it's a smaller bait, they might just gulp it right up, even if it's a big, huge fish. Yeah, tactics are really important. You always got to remember to do your figure eight, even if you don't see anything following, because there are sometimes late fish that come to the bait when you're just reeling in, and then you're doing your figure eight, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a fish just comes in and is like, yo, hello. You got to always be ready for that, because muskies can really be surprising. And once you hook up, their acrobatics are pretty insane. Sometimes they have so much power. And sometimes you have to be careful with it because, if you have your drag too high, that absurd amount of power to go along with their massive teeth can cause some severe damage to your line or even breakage. And it might not be very fun. And that's probably a $20+ lure flushed down the toilet. Can't be having that happening. Also, when you get the fish into the boat, Joe Bucher actually got his injury from holding a 57-inch class fish because it was thrashing around and he literally tore his bicep. So that just shows you how much power these fish have. They have enough power to literally cause severe injury. So be really wary when you're fishing for these fish because they just have so much power. I'm not discouraging you to fish for them. I'm just saying just be aware. Of course, fish for them. It's really sweet fish to catch, and you feel really rewarded when you catch one since they're so hard to catch. But with that, I think we're going to wrap up the video. I had a really fun time doing this. I'm going to try to get some videos coming out this week because it's pretty hot out. I'm still going to try to get outside and stuff, but it is pretty hot out this week. So I'm going to have probably a lot of time to record videos and stay inside because I'm not overly fond of 90-degree weather. But I'm going to try to get some videos out. Maybe some fishing plan. I'm not entirely sure. I do kind of want to continue my October River series. But I don't know. So we'll have to find that out. I might post something this week. But for now, I'm saying goodbye. Ultra North. Peace out.